Yeah, I caught that.
I have done that, so.
I can't. That's my baby.
Take two, we're ready now.
Are you ready?
All to Jesus I surrender. All to Him I freely give. I will ever love and trust Him. His presence daily live. I surrender all. I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all to Jesus. I surrender. At His feet I bow. Worldly pleasures all forsaken. Take me, Jesus, take me now. I surrender all. I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all to Jesus. I surrender. May my Savior wholly thine. Let me feel the Holy Spirit to know that Thou art mine. I surrender all. I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all to Jesus. I surrender. Lord, I give myself to Thee. Fill me with Thy love and power, and Thy blessings fall on me. I surrender all. I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender. Thanks, Courtney. Good to have you back.
Yes,
I
nice
know
to
you
meet
enjoyed your visit with your mom, but we're glad you're back.
Yes.
All right. So today's trivia question, it goes with this time of year where everybody's sick. Okay. So this is a number question. This is the so there is only one you, and your germs prove it. Each individual carries about how many species of bacteria on his or her hands? How many species?
Do we want to know that?
It's interesting, when I read this, I was like, oh my goodness. Just take a wild guess. Raise your hand, take a wild guess. Brenda?
60,000.
No, way too much. Rudy?
100.
Close, not too bad. Karen?
94.
Nope. Sue?
90?
Nope. Linda?
130.
Closer. Angelique? Nope. Laura?
140.
Closer.
150 of that.
Well, you've already guessed once. Who wants to guess?
43? I guessed out loud.
Rudy?
150.
You've already guessed once too. Russell?
167.
It's 150. Karen already said it.
Oh.
It's not fair. These are references.
Wow, now come on.
You should have given her hand sanitizer.
I mean,
It's funny that you won. It's funny
you
that
have
you won.
insulted me, but this is there.
Maybe that'd
One
pay.
hand sanitizer.
So I didn't want to take the abuse for 2 weeks in a row with the jokes, because Dawn is still recovering. She has a patch in her eye. So Russell's going to do jokes today.
How many of you like to laugh out loud and have a big old knee slapper? I don't have any of those today.
I was just kidding.
Okay, you're not ready for this. Oh, you're not ready for this. This is, man. You know, when you get older, you start to have the groans and all. Well, now we're going to groan today. Okay, get ready. All right. So thinking about Mother's Day, I said, you know what? Let's do some mother jokes. And I use jokes in the loosest form of the word, with big old quotations just like this. All right. What do mommy bees use to brush their hair?
Honey.
Honeycombs.
Honey, oh, okay. I was at beeswax.
Yeah. How do little bees go to school?
In school.
Busy.
They ride the school buzz.
Maybe we need Steve Rogers.
Right? I warned you.
Barney, Steve.
Why was the baby strawberry sad?
Oh. Somebody ate him.
It got into a jam.
Oh.
Very good.
How do baby trains eat?
Baby what?
Trains.
Oh,
They choo-choo. Right.
Oh, boy.
Cannot read it. Okay.
Good.
How do mother ghosts always know when their children are lying?
They see right through.
See right through them. Why do mama cows wear bells? Because their horns don't work.
Oh, man.
Where do mother boats take their babies when they get sick? Mother boats. To the dock.
There you go.
What did the mom flower say to the little flower?
You're a blooming idiot.
Hi, bud. Where do sheep go on school vacation? To the Bahamas. There's someone here that I didn't get. I think it's just. What did the mother alpaca say to her hungry baby on the way to grab a bite? Don't worry, dear. I'll pack a snack. And what's Mama Bear's favorite baseball team?
Bear.
The Cubs. The Cubs. All right. So we're going to move away from that. And I have a riddle, and this is what's funny. I'm not an individual, as you may know, that thinks inside the box. So yesterday I'm walking into the storeroom. This is like at the end of the shift and everything. And one of my team leads is in his early 20s. And he's talking to my supervisor, and they're going over a riddle, and I keep hearing mirage, mirage, mirage. And I said, what are you guys talking about? And they said, we have a riddle. I said, what's the riddle? The riddle is this. You're on an island, and you look out in the ocean, and you see a boat full of people. Then you look away, and when you look again, you see not a single one. Why?
Because you see
Because
all
of
of
the
them.
mirage.
I looked this up. This is after I told them. So I sat there for a moment, and they're going, mirage, mirage. And I said, yeah, mirage. I said, but it's a riddle. This isn't straightforward. I said, I bet you it's a couple's cruise. So I looked it up. They're all married. That's why I don't see a thing going. Okay. Yeah.
Huh?
Okay.
You don't see a single one
Yeah.
because they're all married.
Oh,
Yeah. So he
single.
was using this because he's in a competition to win $100, and this is the riddle I have to answer. So I gave him the right answer. I was very at least close enough to it. So I'm going to go back tomorrow, and he's either going to say you were wrong, and I'm going to say, well, actually, look, that was right. But it's funny because they were walking up and said, this sounds like the right answer. And I said, it's because this brain doesn't function like everybody else.
Make sure you get your half.
Well, this is what he said. This is what he said. As he's walking, he says, listen, if that's the right answer, I'll get 2 dozen donuts for everybody. I was like, I'll keep $80 and I'll spend 20 on everybody. I said, hey, I'm hoping he wins. And I said, yeah, I was close. I was close.
Oh, man.
Maybe we'll get donut time. So enough of all that. That's, you can slay me, slings and arrows. Yes. We are in Matthew 7. And my eyes are going to fail me today, of course. And we lift off with verse 6. And verse 6 kind of goes a little bit into what's talking about previously, but it does help move into the next little sections here. Matthew 7, verse 6. Can someone read that for me?
Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and then turn and tear you to pieces.
Right. Okay. What is Jesus saying here? What do you think Jesus is saying? So don't give holy things to dogs and don't throw pearls before swine. What does that mean?
Don't waste your breath on people that won't listen.
How have you used that in your life?
You try to witness to somebody and it gets...
I mean you. How have you used this advice in your life?
Same thing. You want to witness to somebody and they really aren't ready to listen. So you don't waste your time because you can do more harm than good.
Right. I'm going to give an example of this. Joe,
Yeah.
go ahead and read. This is Matthew 15, 21 through 28.
Jesus sends a demon out of a girl. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to a region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from the vicinity came to him, crying out, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is suffering terribly from demon possession. Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, Send her away, for she keeps crying out for us. He answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. The woman came and knelt down before him. Lord, help me, she said. He replied, It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Yes, Lord, she said, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Then Jesus answered, Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed from that very hour.
What's the request we have here? What's the initial request from this woman?
Healed.
Heal her daughter. Who's she asking this of?
Jesus.
Can Jesus do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What is Jesus' response to her? Before that, what's his first response?
He didn't say a word.
He didn't say a word. Why? Why does Jesus not say a word?
So his disciples could do it for him?
Remember, we got to remember the culture, the context. Why would Jesus not speak to a Canaanite woman?
Oh, yeah.
That's one. She's a Gentile. What's the second one? She's a woman. He's not going to be speaking to women like this, especially not ones who are Jews. So his initial response is, I'm not hearing this. You don't exist. She continues and continues. In fact, if you go to Mark, in Mark 7, it says that he had gone to Tyre and Sidon. That's a place where there aren't a lot of Jews. He's kind of looking to get away, to relax. And in Mark 7, it says that he goes somewhere where he wouldn't be noticed, and someone still notices him. Not even a Jew, a Gentile woman notices him. Mark identifies her not just as Canaanite, but Syrophoenician. She identifies him and says, oh, he's the guy who could do what I need done. Jesus' response is nothing. In fact, he turns only to his disciples and talks. What is his second response when they say, send her away, she's talking too much? Then what does he say to them? I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. So there are two things he's done to her. Number one, he's done what?
Ignored her.
Ignored her. Number two, he has done what?
Deny her.
Denied her. Now, what is his third response to her?
About the bread, telling her not to throw the bread and give it to the dog, taking the children's bread.
Right. So what is he doing for her here? Just like we're reading here about throwing your what's holy before dogs. What is he doing?
Trying to correct her faith first.
Testing her faith.
Testing her. He's giving her an in. All this has happened, and he's kind of, in fact, in Mark it says he really says everything to his disciples. He doesn't address her, and he kind of can't. He's not allowed to, okay? He's a priest, remember, in the order of Melchizedek. It would be improper for him to not only talk to a Gentile, but to address a woman in an open regard, as is happening here. But she says something interesting. When he says what he says about, you don't take the bread that's intended for the children. Who are the children?
His followers.
Jews, okay, God's people. What's the bread?
The word.
The word, holiness, righteousness. You're giving it out, okay, eternal life. Who are the dogs?
Gentiles.
Everybody
Or
else.
anybody else.
Everybody else. So to the children, the master is giving the bread. Says, it's not good to give that to the dogs. And her response is, in my opinion, one of the best responses in Scripture that you see, ever. It's such a beautiful faith. She says, but you know, the dogs will even eat the teeny tiny crumbs that fall from the master's table. What is Jesus' response to what she says right there?
You have
Great
great faith.
faith. Great faith.
First, he's going to turn to her, face her, and tell her, you have such faith. I haven't seen faith like this. Your request is granted. When we look at Scripture, a lot of times we kind of just say that, oh, this is for us, this is for us, this is for us, this is for us. It's not always for us. A lot of times there are specific things intended for specific people. When we read previously, and we talk about who is Jesus calling the salt and the light. Well, we say, well, he's calling that to us. Well, at the time, he's not speaking to everyone. He's speaking specifically to the Jews. Okay? Here, his mission is solely to the Jews of Israel. And he specifically states the lost sheep. Why does he say the lost sheep and not just the regular sheep?
They don't have a shepherd.
They don't have a shepherd. The Pharisees have led them astray. He's coming to get the ones that are out there to bring them into the fold. The Jews that have lost their faith. The Jews that are prostitutes. The tax collectors who are being refused. The individuals who have fallen away. The individuals who are fishermen that don't really care anything about godly things. Okay? Jesus, this interaction is far after he says this. But Jesus here exemplifies this statement. If she had just turned and walked away, this statement that he says in verse 6 in chapter 7 is 100% valid. Because he would not sit here and throw these holy things to this individual and say, well, here are the Scriptures. Why is he wasting his breath explaining Scriptures to an individual who doesn't even care about him or what he said? Even though they identify him as who he is, she still has to make that connection that he's not here for her because he wasn't. We go, oh, he's here to save everybody. He wasn't here to save everybody. You have to remember that. That wasn't his mission. It wasn't until the ones, as Paul says, who he had come to save, crucified him, that the door gets open to the ones who actually receive it, the Gentiles. Okay? I think this is so beautiful. Because in the instance of the young man, the rich young ruler who goes to Jesus and says, what do I do to get eternal life? How do I get this bread? And Jesus tells him the same thing he's heard all the time. All you got to do is sit at the master's table and do what you're told. Fold your napkin like this. Use the right fork. Have your plate squared or circled away, however you do, and your wine cup on the right spot. Oh, I've done all of those things since I was a boy. You know, you're missing something. You got to get away from the table and start sharing your food with others. And he walks away. Jesus does not go, hold on, brother, wait a minute, you're a Jew, let's have a conversation. No, because that is who he's talking about. That's a swine. That's a dog that he's talking about here. That person does not want to receive his message. Your illustration, people who don't want to hear the gospel. I'm going to go in a different direction. If you're dealing with someone, especially if they're a family member, and you know that they're a baptized believer, and I don't want to use quotes for believer, I mean someone who has at some point confessed Jesus and been baptized. And you say, here's a better way, and they say, no. What should be your response? Sometimes you got to walk away. There's a rule in pastoring, preaching, running a church. It's the 80-20 rule. And it's actually really interesting to see in action. As long as I've been in church, it's pretty accurate. You have 80% of the people consume what 20% of the people do. 20% of the people run the church, keep things going, do all the stuff, and 80% just attend and do the things. Okay? The same goes in learning. A preacher puts all his effort into 100% of the flock. And yet, Jesus came for the lost sheep. You have an 80-20 rule there too. 80% of the people who sit there on a Sunday morning or go to a group, they're not going to absorb anything. It's not going to get through. You call up sin in their life and they say, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to go to the church down the street. And that's what you get. Oh, they upset me. I forget this. I don't want to be talked about. I'm being judged here. And that's the response. And then you got 20% who are faithful, loving, caring, giving. And people go, oh, they're good. They know how to read their Bibles and learn. You're supposed to put 80% of your effort into the 20% that are willing to eat it up. And that 20% that's left, the ones who just don't care, you put the effort there. Too many preachers put the opposite effort in. They put 80% of their effort into going after 80% of the people who don't care. They pick the wide path of I get what I want out of this, and then the rest of it, throw it away. And then there's a 20% that ends up going like, I'm not getting something. Why are you always tending to this group? What about me? I need to be a part of the thing. They say, oh, but you're such a mature Christian. You know how to do that. Wait a minute. Mature Christians need to be corrected and loved too. Jesus came for the people who knelt at him and said, I'm just a dog at the master's table. Because that's what we are. We are not privileged enough to sit at that table whatsoever. Paul even says it comes to the Jew first, not the Gentile. If you ever think that you're better than anybody, read this. Matthew 15, Mark 7, that interaction. You want faith? You look at how holy a God is and your comparison to him. That he would send his son to die for you. That should just slay you in your spirit and in your soul. And that puts you in such an interesting position to when you look back on the judging others, how are you to judge individuals? Then you're just like them. That's why this comes right after that. So I always want you to keep that in mind. So when you have these interactions where you probably see a lot of videos, I don't know how many of you see them, but I'm on Twitter. I don't know why. Maybe it's entertaining. People throwing cans at cars, people kicking people's tires, people yelling back and forth, I'm recording you, I'm recording you. Hey, can you put your cart back? No. Okay. Hey, I don't think you should be stealing that. What? You can only go so far. And then you just... And you go home, man, those people don't listen. They ain't gonna listen. They ain't gonna listen. You've got to put your energy where it's going to be used best. If you have someone who needs help and they say, I need someone, be there. But if you see an issue and you go, hey guys, this is something don't worry about it. Then don't worry about it. Stop throwing your pearls before swine. Your pearls are the energy you have, the gifts you have. You can use them for people who are hurting, but Jesus doesn't go to people and continually tap them on the shoulder. We're going to get to that in this next section. Can someone read verse 7 through verse 9? Matthew 7.
Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. Which of you, if your son
No, that's
asks...
good. Right there. What are we getting here now? Remembering what we had before. A woman who's now seeking a thing. What does this say? Ask, seek, knock. You've heard it your whole life. What does it mean?
You gotta ask for it. You don't have to just,
Ask for what?
for whatever you need.
Let's think about the Beatitudes. What's something in there that we really... I said hunger. And everybody said, what? Oh, righteousness. And I said, no. What is hunger? What is thirst? Well, you want to have the Bible. No. What is hunger and thirst? Physical craving, desire, and a requirement for you to live. Ask, seek, knock, and it will be given to you. What is your part in all of this? Ask what, Rudy? Ask for what?
Ask for what you want and
What do you want?
what you need to survive.
What do you need, Rudy?
I need food and water.
Okay.
I
Do
need
you have a big TV?
about smaller than that.
Okay, bad example. Do you have mine's about that size? Do you have a nice car that runs?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a lot of nice clothes?
Oh yeah, my wife dresses me every morning.
Yeah. How many rooms? I'm trying not to pick on you, but how many rooms do you have in your home?
About 6, 7.
Bedrooms?
Oh, bedrooms, 3, 2 really.
Oh, okay.
But we use a third one.
I was gonna say 6 or 7, man. I'm moving with you. I'm paying a mortgage for nothing over here.
We have room.
I don't think my wife would be cooking on. Yeah, we've done that before. Yeah.
Mine either.
The idea here is, what are your necessities? What are your needs? What is something we often ask for that's not, say something we ought to be asking for?
Guidance, wisdom, patience.
Well, these are things we should ask for. What are some things that we ask for that we necessarily don't need, or what is it?
Luxuries.
Luxuries, like what? Is
Like
water a
great
luxury?
big TV. Rudy's satisfied with his TV.
When we look at life, a lot of times we look through it of the lens of what we don't have, okay? The things that we desire. Back last March, they had this sale at Best Buy or speaking of TVs, big giant 70-something inch TVs, and man, under $1,000. My TV is 7 years old, okay? 7 years old. That's really old, right? For these new TVs, 7 years old, right? So, I looked at that and went, hey, I could make this work barely. I measured everything and oh man, and I said this and she says, oh, that's not a bad idea. And I stopped. And then that thought crept in. It's that Holy Spirit. He walks up and he goes, hey Russell, these are the conversations we have. He says, do you really need that TV? I go, oh boy, do I need that TV. He says, do you really need the TV? I said, I've had this one for 7 years. And he goes, yeah, that's great. Do you really need it? Yeah. Well, this one works just fine. There's not even a black spot on it. It does everything I need. It's got firmware updates. It's wonderful. He goes,
Smart TV.
it is, yeah. It's 4K. It was one of the first 4K models they had on sale at Best Buy.
For under $1,000.
Hey, it was 500 something. I said, for a Black Friday deal, and I'm like, I couldn't pass that up. 7 years ago. And that's my TV. And I said, why, when I came to my senses, why would I replace a thing that doesn't need to be replaced? What's the point? What is the point in that?
It's a want and not a need.
It's a want. What does that do? Why would I just get a bigger one? House. We have a 2-bedroom condo. It's not the biggest, but it serves our need. I have no need to ask, seek, knock about a new house, about a new TV, about a new car. I love my car. Runs well. It's almost 10 years old. It's like 9. I love it.
Mine's 23.
23. I still say you spend too much on that car, but it runs most of the time.
Yeah.
I pick on her all the time about that car. I'd rather buy myself a new car and give her my car, but she can't get in my car. It's low to the ground. It's not meant for a guy my size, but it runs great gas mountain. That's why I got it. It was cheap, good gas mountain.
There you go.
But yeah, fill my needs. I want a C3 79 fastback red Corvette. That ain't happening anytime soon.
Me too.
I am not one of those preachers that goes, you just gotta see yourself
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
See it. I'm gonna pray over it. See it. I'm gonna get a model of it. I'm gonna kiss it. I'm gonna pray over it. I'm gonna put little Jesus cross it.
Yes.
That is not scriptural.
No. At all.
What are things that we ought to ask, seek, and knock for? Give me some examples. You already said some.
Fair peace.
Inner peace. That's a really good one. What else? What are some things that we should ask, seek, knock for? What?
A new car.
What'd you say? Say it loud.
Understand.
Understanding.
Patience.
Patience.
Direction.
Discernment.
Be careful with
Discernment.
You don't pray.
Keep going. What are some other things we ought to ask, seek, knock for?
Healing.
Kindness.
Healing, kindness,
Health. Good health.
good health. That can sometimes be an iffy one.
Caring.
Why would I say that good health is an iffy one? Why?
Sometimes we don't have good health and we have to deal with it.
Hebrews 11. What's the end of Hebrews 11? What happens to all these people of faith?
I don't know.
They're sawn in two. They're killed because of their faith.
They're persecuted.
Persecuted. Sometimes the things that we really desire, like that, God says, no. I'll give you an example for that. My brother has only one functioning kidney, right? Okay. One functioning kidney. And that happened because he had diverticulitis, and they gave him medicine that was essentially rat poison distilled. It killed the infected cilia in the lining of his intestine, but the side effect was that in doing so, his kidneys were destroyed. And over years, they watched his kidney function drop and drop, and the whole time my brother did what?
Well, you probably prayed for healing.
Interestingly enough, his prayer was that through this, I can be an example. And he would tell people about what he was, they'd ask, how you doing? He'd say, oh, well, I've got this new dialysis thing. It's not dialysis, but it's a machine that hook up. They go, how can you go through it? And he goes, God's getting through it.
He was in his early 40s.
Yeah, he was my age at the time. Right, that's right. And then he got to the point where he needed a new kidney. It was so bad. I never once, maybe you have, I never once heard a complaint about it. Not one time. Not once. I knew during that time that he sought to be at peace with this. He didn't sit here and say, God miraculously heal me. And if he did, his response, after maybe not hearing anything or hearing no, was exactly what Jesus says. Your will be done. When we ask and seek and knock, Jesus says in several places, ask and it will be given to you. Right? Seek and you will find. Knock and the door is open. If you ask my Father of the thing, then it will be given to you. But there's only one caveat to that. One caveat. It has to be in His will. All the things that you're describing are either spiritual gifts or gifts of the Spirit. Or fruit of the Spirit, rather. Against such things there is no law. When you're asking God for these things, not like when I'm on the highway and the guy cuts me off and I say, man, boy, I hope he gets what's coming to him. That's an awful prayer. A better prayer is, Lord, let me be able to accept these things and not get so ruffled up. Maybe I need to look in the mirror and say, are you driving correctly too? Are they honking at you?
Absolutely not.
Maybe when you're in the left lane doing 65 in a 60 and you go, that's fast enough. And the people come, just move over. Just no big deal.
Especially when you're passing you on the right.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest, that happens to me all the time. Not me passing, they pass me all the time.
Oh, I
That's
see.
my bad mentality.
Russell, I saw a sign not long ago, I was on my way to the commissary, and it's the only place I've ever seen it, it says, left lane is used for passing, not cruising. It's the only time I've seen that, I thought of my daughter, she rides that left lane all the time, but she's going fast. but-
I think that's really applying now, especially on 64, that they've added the HOV lane. So now my wife says that traffic in the morning is awful because people use that as a traveling lane, and so, yeah, it's.
But one question about that, those pipes that go all along there, are they flexible? If you cut through them, do they blah, 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 or do they,
I've seen some knocked down, so I
or
guess,
they don't?
I guess if
they-
you
they
go
in-
through
Oh, no, no,
them-
no, those are not, the flexible ones, there's a joint at the bottom and you'll see them laid
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
But my favorite part is they put those up so the cops can't sit in the median now and get people. So
Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's
I
my
thought
favorite.
that, how was a policeman supposed to get over, you know, cause it's got all those things lined up,
I'm okay with that.
crazy.
I'm good, 'cause
I
I'm
wish
the one
we
doing
would double
70
the
in the
traffic
fast lane.
controls and maybe curb this down a little bit.
It's one of those things that I just, city planner's gonna city plan, I'm not worried about it. I drive here, I drive there, if I have, and that's, yeah. I gotta go out to Virginia
I think we
Beach.
should double it.
And when you get on 264, I have to remember to not get upset. I have to get over several lanes because the lane to Princess Anne is always going to be 45. I have to get that mindset of, Russell, it's not their fault. That's what's happening. You change. Sometimes we don't think about that. Maybe it's me. Ever think that? Maybe I'm not praying the right prayers. Maybe I'm not asking for the right things, seeking the right things, knocking on the right doors.
Yeah, one of the toughest things I think that takes some courage to pray for is, show me, Lord, what my priorities should be. That's a tough one, because He will. He will show you.
Let's show you in simple ways too. Kids have some of the purest thoughts, in my opinion. Not pure in terms of good, but pure in terms of they'll tell you their honest opinion. And I love it. Because they say things, they're like, wow, that's really neat. You go, yeah, that is. What do you do with it? That's a 75-inch 8K TV. It puts out 15 different channels with 3 different Wi-Fi ones. I can connect to my TV, don't even need to connect to my Wi-Fi. They go, that's great. Can I watch cartoons on it? Well, you can watch cartoons on your iPad. That's a good, really neat app. Yeah.
I have a comment.
Sure.
Well, maybe it's a question. So you want that TV, right?
I'd love
Why
that.
do you have to ask God for that TV? Why can't you just check your finances and know you're grown up, right?
Mhm.
And you can read.
Mhm.
So you know whether you can afford that TV or not. And if you can't, why would you ask God for that TV?
Well, I love that. That's a good way of looking at it. But I'll add one thing to that. Before I do major things, I like talking to my dad first. I like to see what he has to say. And sometimes I don't even get to that point. Sometimes God that's in me says, you should stop. I walk in the house and I'm tired, and then I relax and my wife comes home and then she wants me to do 5 things. I have a response there. I can either justify and say, you know, I've worked for 8 hours on my feet all day. You got to sit in a chair. I was on my feet. I got to walk around, my legs hurt, and you want to sit in your recliner, you sat on a chair all day, you want me to go do that? I could do that justifiably, right? That's justice.
No,
Or-
that's mean.
I'll tell you what,
That's a
she
lot.
would do the same thing to me. But I have a response. I can either do that or just say,
Yes, dear.
all right, darling. It's loving. It's loving. And then I sit down, no, I've already got up, give me some time, I need to, and then her response, okay, I do understand, yeah. Yes.
50-50, do the chart, you know.
No.
Well, it's not
that's
chores,
fair.
it's things
Yeah,
like,
I know, but
I
you
need
gotta
ice in my
share
car,
the
yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
No.
Not in my house.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted, something you were saying a moment ago, my daughter's had this terminal illness now and slowly declining. Not once have I ever heard my daughter say, God, why have you forsaken me?
Mhm.
Not once. She deals with it. She's always got a smile on her face, faith in God, and not once have I ever heard her question why.
That's awesome.
That's like with Job, going through the small groups, we're doing Job, and that was Job's big thing. What is this? Why have you afflicted me? God says, wait a minute, who are you to question me? And I think that's the thing. We want to question God all the time. We want to question him, and yet when he questions us, it's a bunch of excuses. Well, they were trying to go faster than the speed limit. Well, I've been on my feet all day, and I know what Ephesians says that I should do. She should submit. But wait a minute, I can't control her. I report to God. That's who I report to. And when you think about that, it kind of changes your perspective. Especially the things that you ask, seek, and knock about. Yeah, Mom.
You go back to the TV, it's stewardship too, I think. I'm not a very good steward, but we go back to stewardship, I think.
Well, there's a like if you're living in the middle of the woods and you have a bunch of money and there's no one to talk to, you kind of got no one to spend the money on. If you got people in your life that really don't have any needs, sometimes you don't have anywhere to be that fellow Christian that does that. And other times, you have nothing and they have nothing too. So then everybody gets together on Friday nights and you all watch the one TV that someone has. You know, makes you appreciate things just a little better.
Been there and done that.
Yeah, right. Any more comments on that?
Russell,
Sure.
that's kind of out there, but Garth Brooks, country singer, he had this one song, he said, he thanks God for unanswered prayer. So sometimes a lot of times you ask for things that you don't need or want, and he doesn't answer those.
I think sometimes that, I was always raised that there are answers. It's either yes, no, or wait. God isn't the God of maybe. God is not a God of maybe. Remember that. And I think especially when you're in touch with the Spirit, there's never an unanswered prayer. You may request something, and he says, hold on. Hold on. There's that great saying that sometimes you need to be prepared for the things that you're not prepared for. It seems kind of redundant. But yet you'll pray for things that you want that you're not ready for. So when you say, oh, I'd really love to be able to do, I'd really love to be the manager of this, or I don't love you or her outside of that, but I'd love to be able to do this thing or go to this, but maybe you're not ready for that yet. And that's God saying, hold on, wait, just wait. Or maybe I've got something better in store, but you need to just wait on that.
That's all. If I may, there's a scripture, I don't know if we touched upon it, but it seems like it's very, you started this whole thing by saying, I'd like to have that Corvette. But God says, be careful what you pray for because you ask amiss.
Right.
You ask amiss. Oh, I want that new Corvette, or I want that $1 million house. But what you should be praying for is praying for your fellow man and different things like that. You're praying amiss.
Like in James, the things that you pray for you don't get because you pray for things to spend it on your own lusts and desires. We want to pray for a lot of money and all this stuff, but what are we going to do with it when we get it? That's always the question. What are you going to do with it?
So he doesn't answer.
All right, like hitting the lottery. Oh, I've got a list right off the bat. And not bad things. Paying off my mom's house, getting my wife a house that she would like, paying off cars, things like that. Like simple, paying off my brother's loans, paying off his, or buying him a house. There's stuff I have that has nothing to do with me because essentially that money's really not mine. So it's easy to kind of allocate that. Because it's imaginary, But what if I really got it? What would I do with it? Man, I'd buy a lot of toys, that's for sure.
Nice to dream.
Nice to dream, yeah. Let dreams fly away sometimes. Yes.
Well, I think of this often because in the end, none of that's going to matter. Not going to matter what house you lived in, what car you drove, what clothes you wore, whatever. None of that's going to matter. None of that will matter.
It's the lives you touch that are going to matter in the end. Yeah. The things that you did for Jesus, the crowns that we talk about, and in the end, you hand the crowns over to the one who enabled you to have the crowns in the first place.
Yeah, I like the one in Philippians 2, Russell, 2, about all of this. It says, in Philippians 2, 3, it says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also the interest of others. That's what it's all about mainly.
Yeah, I'd love to seek spiritual gifts that would benefit the church. And sometimes I think I don't like my own pride, because I don't like pride. I don't like the idea that you build yourself up. Paul does that a lot. If you read Paul, he talks about, look how I'm boasting, but I boast for Jesus. I'd love to boast for Jesus, and I always, when someone says, oh, that was a good such and such, I don't know how to respond. Do I say, well, thank you? It's okay to just say thank you, but I can tell you it come from me, this foolish, rugged, know-nothing that pleads so much that God would just understand it, just touch with a little bit. And he's taken me so far that I have nothing but to thank him for, that if tomorrow I forgot everything that I remembered from this book, what I would know is where he brought me from and the love that I would have, because the love that he gave to me, that I so am absolutely so grateful for. I would never, people talk about going back and redoing their 20s or something, I don't ever want to go back there again. Not in a million years. Not even with the knowledge, I don't want to touch that. I'd rather just continue to move forward, both in my faith and in my experience, making sure that things like this, that I can take that and actively apply that every single day. Am I starting the day with a good prayer? Or am I starting the day with this is going to be a 9-hour day? How do you start that? Am I seeking him right in the morning? Or am I just seeking to get things over with? It's priorities. Who said priorities? Did you say, you said priorities? Yeah, priorities. So, Steve is not back, so I'm going to do prayer requests.
Where are we stopping at?
Verse 9?
Verse 9?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to I'm going to do it all the way this time. Oh, that's so creepy.